logging in, go ahead and hit that like button and let me know where you're signing in from today. We're going to talk about LinkedIn tips for rookies at first. And then I'm going to go into some show updates. We're looking at doing some different things with the show, play a few games, and I also have special guest Noelle Coles. If you've been on our show before, you may have seen her. We're going to have her on. We're going to be talking about something new we're going to be doing with her. She's got a new show coming out, and we're also going to be talking about her nurse retention course. So I look forward to speaking with her about that. That's we're both excited about that. We're going to be kind of partnering up on that. So stay tuned. We got lots to share. In the meantime, go ahead and let us know where you're signing in from, and I'm going to make sure that you can actually see me and hear me. Hopefully you can. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up on my screen. And of course, I'll be reading your comments as always. We'll make sure that we keep you involved in the discussion. And one of the things that has been kind of a hot point for me, hot box, hot button, whatever you want to call it, is the amount of traffic I'm getting in my messages. Okay, so I don't know. Let me know if you've been getting a lot more traffic in your messages in your inbox in LinkedIn. Is it manageable for you? Or are you getting too many? Or you're not seeing really any activity? I love to kind of hear where you're coming from on that. And I have a few things that I want to talk about with that. I'd love to kind of get your take on this as well. But I just want to kind of give you some feedback. And if you've been on the platform for a while, if you're in sales, I think this will be very, very also appropriate for you as well. So even if you're a rookie or if you've been actually on LinkedIn for a while, I think this will be very helpful for you. So one of the things I wanted to mention to you first is when it comes to the inbox, whenever I started doing LinkedIn back in 2008, 2009, 2008, I believe, the platform was still pretty new. And the inbox was something that wasn't used very often. In fact, pretty much most of the folks who weren't in your network, you had to in-mail any of them. I don't even think you could even do it through the groups back then. So it was a little bit difficult. And so therefore, since the barrier of entry to send messages was high, therefore you didn't receive a lot of messages. So when you received something on LinkedIn, it was pretty significant. Like, oh, wow, I got a message on LinkedIn. That's awesome. I got an in-mail or whatever. You're excited. And fast forward to 2020, I'm getting like dozens and dozens of messages per day. They're piling up, lots of unreads, and it's overwhelming for me. And I don't know how you feel. I'd love to see what you think in the comments. Let me know if you get a lot of messages, and if so, those messages what percentage do you think of those messages are actually relevant to you? Like, how many of those messages is someone who legitimately reaching out to you that perhaps you know or would like to know, or versus just offers and things that you didn't really show any interest in? They're just kind of cold messaging you about something. I want to hear about that. What's your experience? And then I also want to share my take on that. I've talked about this on one of my shows before, but one of the things I would highly suggest is please, please, please do not make your first message to someone an invitation to connect if you've never actually engaged with any of their content or actually read their profile. That's probably the number one pet peeve that I have experienced recently. And I have been guilty of this. I am guilty as charged. I used to do that. I used to invite people to connect, or I would accept connections without really even looking at their profile. And so I did it. And so did a lot of other people on LinkedIn, because when LinkedIn started out, for a lot of us, you were either one of two camps. You were in the one camp is, I only connect with people who I know personally offline. I'm not going to connect with anybody else. There's a lot of people out there at the time on LinkedIn who felt that way. Then there's also the other side, whereas, hey, I'm gonna connect with pretty much most anyone, even if I don't know them, because that's going to expand my network. I don't know what that's going to do for me, but I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to just expand my network and just keep connecting. And so you had quite a few who did that. Then you had some in the middle who did a little bit of both. They'll of course connect with people who they knew offline, but then they also would selectively add on people maybe that are in their target market, or just for whatever reason, they have certain reasons why they would connect with some people and not connect with others. So you had the open networkers who would just connect with pretty much anybody, or at least either accept a connection or be willing to accept a connection from just about anybody. Then you had the other camp that were like, you know what, we're only going to connect with people who we know personally. So that was out there for a while. Now I've seen recently it's evolved even more, where it's more accepting to have more connections. The founders of LinkedIn, when they first started LinkedIn, they did not envision the LinkedIn platform to be used to connect with people who you didn't know. It generally was supposed to be a way for folks to kind of network that with people that they knew personally, and then perhaps get connected with or introduced to other people that they would know through that other person. So first, second, that's why you see first, second, and third level connections on LinkedIn. They really didn't mean it for someone originally to just go out there and meet people brand new by connecting with them on LinkedIn. You never met them before without getting recommended or referred in. So that has changed, where you see people who have gone from very few connections to literally 30,000 connections inside of a year. I mean, you just didn't see that. Before, it took a long time. Like, it took me to get my first 20,000 connections. I think it probably took me the better part of a decade. It took a while. Now, obviously, I wasn't on LinkedIn every single day connecting with people, but it was just something that kind of naturally evolved over that time. Whereas I've seen people in a very short period of time increase their connections exponentially much faster than that. And another thing that's on the people's purview now are the followers. It used to be the followers, nobody paid attention to that. All they paid attention to was how many connections you had. They didn't really look at how many followers you had, because typically your followers matched the amount of connections you had, because anyone who you connected with automatically became a follower. So for a lot of people, it was just a matter of either you're like maybe super famous, like, I don't know, Bill Gates or Warren Buffett or something like that. Maybe if you're Bill Gates, you got like tons of followers, but most people just had whatever their connections were. That's how many followers they had. Whereas now we're in a different environment where you could have someone who has very few connections but lots of followers, and that has all come through content, because LinkedIn has become more of a content-driven type platform, to where now you write articles now. That's been in play for quite a few years. Obviously, you can do your posts. In the post, it's not just text-based anymore. You can do pictures. You can do videos. Native video content is huge now. So much so that I started doing video for quite a while. That's maybe a couple of years ago, a few years ago actually. But then when I saw the success of some of the other folks on the platform, like let's say Shay Rowbottom, her success and some of the others I've seen with success on videos, like, you know what? Let me see if I can get a little coaching and see if I can do a little bit better at this whole video thing. And then in the midst of doing that, I also got connected with LinkedIn Live, which has also been a great experience overall. Been very great. And I love the fact that they made this as available, and then I've been able to connect with so many others. Those of you who are watching, I appreciate all of you. And so that has been an interesting journey. So it's kind of evolved. So therefore, if you're a salesperson, or if you're a person that's looking to expand your network, the way that we did it 5 years ago or 3 years ago or 10 years ago is not really relevant anymore. So this whole thing of connecting with people that you haven't engaged with any of their content, if they're actually putting content out there, or you haven't actually looked at their profile, is not really effective anymore. Because I can just tell you, because there's so many messages that people are getting now, that you become so forgettable. If you're just sending a message and inviting people to connect, and that's it, it's forgettable, because I have dozens and dozens of messages in my inbox that are not even read yet, because there's just so many of them. So let me look at some of the comments so far. Okay, Jennifer says, my pleasure, looking forward to this session. So yes, thank you for being here, Jennifer. And Levi Wiggins, target market connector here, but I might automate some of that strategy. Ooh. What do you mean by automate? Sometimes when people say automate, they mean literally an AI tool of some sort that will help to automate the connections. And so that's one way. The other way sometimes people mean automate it means that maybe it's not necessarily automated per se by an AI, but maybe it's automated in the sense that you built a process out and then someone else helps you do it. So, meaning another person helps you to fulfill that process. So I'd like to speak about both those things, but I'd love to see your feedback, Levi, on what you're thinking about using. Let me talk about AI for a second in terms of building your network on LinkedIn using AI. If you're going to use some kind of bot or something to help build your network connections, I would say that not only is that against LinkedIn's policy, however, they're going to do whatever they can with that algorithm to try and figure it out, and at some point they're going to disable pretty much any of those bots that you see, any of that AI stuff on LinkedIn, because they want an actual person operating it. Now, one thing you can do with that point in mind, though, and I will actually recommend an AI tool that I think will help you that LinkedIn's totally fine with. But one thing you can do is, let's say you come with some processes. Let's say there's some certain things that you want to do. You want this AI or this person to do. I would suggest to have a person help you that knows you, knows what you're trying to accomplish, and they can help you carry out some of those things. To give an example, maybe there's a list of 100 people that you really want to follow on LinkedIn. You want to be you want to train the algorithm, let them know that's what you want to see. Maybe you have that person help you engage with some of that content, possibly. But at the end of the day, I think that to go along with what LinkedIn's trying to do, which is to make it be very authentic, make it be very transparent, make it be content driven, all that plays into they need to see you. Now, one thing you can do to really help with that too is video. Now, there's lots of folks. I mentioned earlier I took Shay Rowbottom's course. I've had Shay on my course on my show. I've had Jonathan on prior shows. He's the chief experience officer for Shay Rowbottom Marketing, and they give lots of great tips. I've also been in the same course with some other folks like a Ravi or Brian or with Dana recently. They all have their own different processes individually on how they're putting the content out there, and so do I. But they have a process, and there's some things you can automate with that. So I'll give you an example. Let's say if you want to crank out a bunch of videos, instead of you having to learn how to do all the videos yourself, you have someone edit them for you. You just create the videos and have someone else edit it. So I think there's some things you can do to help automate, Levi, that quote unquote kind of automates it, but it still is within the confines of what LinkedIn is trying to do. Hey, Patty. Patty's here. Levi says, I'm a strategic experimenter and growth guy, so I use both tools and a member of our team to do it manually. Excellent. Yes. Okay, so a tool that I want to recommend that I'm using right now is called Shield app. They're not paying me to say this. It's just something that I use. But Shield app is one where they will track your analytics, and you'll be able to see what posts are doing well. Yes, you can track some of it just by looking at it organically on LinkedIn, some of your stats. You can track some of it, but this is like to a whole nother level as far as some of the metrics you can track if you're looking at creating more content, getting more engagement on your content. That's something I would definitely suggest to look at. And that way you can just kind of compare yourself against your own numbers. So I think that's pretty useful to be able to do that. And that's something I do quite often is help compare myself to my own numbers. Okay, so another thing I want to suggest that I've been doing recently is, you may have saw this in one of my prior videos, is searching based on the people I want to follow or content from people who are already in my network. So, I'm gonna supply a link somewhere in here in the comments where I can lead you to that video. It's one I did not too long ago, and I think we've got it down to a clip where you can actually just watch the clip and kind of follow what I'm talking about. But basically, what you do is you go into the search function and you search through posts. Now, I think back when I recorded it, it said content. Now it says posts. Same thing. So when you go in and search, you're gonna hit that post, the post option for whatever you're searching for, whatever topic it is, whether it's recruitment, nurse, medical, whatever you're looking for, whatever your world is, fill in the blank, you type it in to the search field, and you say that I want to see posts regarding this. The other option you're going to click is I want to see things that are coming from my first level connections. Then after you get through your first level connections, then you can start expanding outside your network. But how many times have you connected with someone and that's really where the relationship ended? You really didn't interact with each other's content. I know I've done that before. I've got 30,000. I'm not interacting with 30,000 people right now as far as connections. There's just going to be a certain amount of people that you do this with. So train your LinkedIn experience to give you what you're really looking for, which is to build more connection with those first level connections that you're already connected with, that you want to do more things with. So if you've already gone through the trouble of connecting with them, then go ahead and engage with them. If there's some people that you're a salesperson and you're trying to connect with these particular demographic, whatever it is, whatever industry that it is or position level, whatever that is, whether you're a recruiter or a salesperson, whatever, what have you, especially if you're a salesperson, I would say look at their if you're using Sales Navigator or some kind of tool, look at their profile first before you actually invite them to connect. See if there's some things that that resonates with you in their profile. Look at their activity. Now, some people hide their activity, but most people have it open. Look at their activity if it's public. Click on the see all, then click on post to see what they're posting. That way, you're going to be able to see what it is that they're putting out there. What they went through all this trouble to make this profile. They went through all this trouble to make these posts. It would stand to reason if you're trying to sell them something or get them involved with some product or service that you're trying to promote, that you would also be interested in what they're posting in. And so I can tell you from my standpoint, I post a lot of stuff, and I cannot tell you how many dozens of messages I get per day where people, I know that they didn't read the profile. They did not even look at my profile. They probably used some tool and just said connect and didn't really look at it, and certainly didn't engage with any of my posts. So if you really want to make a impression on that person, whoever it is you're trying to connect with or sell to, or just deepen that relationship, that's one thing I would suggest. Now, there are going to be some people you're going to go to their profile and nothing's happening. I mean, there's not really anything there. Maybe that some of them don't even have a picture, right? So those people, I'm not talking about those people, but I am talking about those people who have, it's obvious they filled out their profile, they have their picture there, they have their experience, they've got their summary there, they've got recommendations, they got all this stuff, they got an activity section, you click on activity and they've got posts there, and then beyond the posts, if you just check all activity, let's say they didn't post anything, but they probably have activity, which means that they liked something or they commented on something. LinkedIn allows you to check that too if they have it public, and most people do have it public. So checking on that too is very important, right? So connecting with their material, their posts, that's going to give you an opportunity to also see what they're thinking, what's important to them, but it's also going to give you an opportunity to become part of their mind share as well. Because if you're engaging with their content regularly, they're going to know who you are. I mean, unless they're just like getting millions. If they got millions of or hundreds of thousands of followers and you're just hitting the like button, they're probably not going to notice you. But if you are engaging with their content regularly, and now when I say engage, I don't mean just hitting the like button. I mean like hitting one of those different ones, not necessarily like, probably more like celebrate, support, love, insight. I've done a video on that before. So you're doing that, and you're also putting a comment in there. And then when you put in the comment, it's not just like great share, thanks. It's more than that. It's more things like, I really like what you said about X, and then you're mentioning it in your comment, and then you're tagging them in the comment. Those are things that really help to make an impression on whoever you're reaching out to. They're going to notice that, especially if you do it on a regular basis. So I know it seems slower, guys. I know that seems slower, but I would say it's not. It's actually faster. Because the barrier to entry to send messages is so low now, and because people are getting so many messages in their inbox, they're getting tons of emails, getting tons of LinkedIn messages. Because of that, you're just not noticed, because it's just too many other things coming in. So 5 years ago, perfectly fine. 10 years ago, perfectly fine. 2020, not so good. So whoever it is you're going after, that you're contacting with, that's a tip I want to give you. If you're looking to post more things, we've talked about this a lot on the show. Don't worry about making it perfect. Just start working on it and getting it out there. You're going to get better as you go along. LinkedIn's co-founder, Reid Hoffman, he has a book, I think it's called Blitzscaling. And one of the things he talked about, if you wait until it's perfect, you've waited too long. He says, really, what happens is when you're putting content out, that's when you learn. That's when you learn what works and what doesn't work. There's going to be some stuff you post that you didn't think anybody was going to even see it, and it just tons of people love it, comment on it, like it. There's the other stuff you put lots of work into. You think it's awesome. You put it out there, crickets. I've had both happen. So it's hard to tell anyway. You probably don't know what's going to work. So just start posting stuff. Now, obviously, you want to be cognizant too of your audience and cognizant of just how LinkedIn is made. So you don't want to be in a situation where you're posting like 10 things in one day and then you don't post anything for like a week. It doesn't work that way. It's better to post on some type of measured basis. So if you're going to post daily, or if you're going to post twice a week, or if you're going to post a couple of times a day, make sure there's different parts of the day. Make sure there's a certain amount of hours between them. So those are things you want to keep in mind as you go along. Hopefully that helps you. Okay, let me look see some more comments here. Oh, Levi says spot on. Awesome. Hey, Patty. Good to see you, Patty. All right, so if you have any LinkedIn questions for me, hit me up with it. I want to hear these LinkedIn questions. We're going to have Noelle's going to be coming in any moment. Let's see. She says, send me the Zoom. I thought I already sent her the Zoom. Oops. Okay, I'll send it to her. Joe, if you beat me to it, maybe you send it to her. Let me see if I can. I think I just did it. There we go. Okay, she's going to come in just a second, and we're going to talk about some of the updates. So here's some of the updates to the future shows. We're going to have a lot more health guests. So those of you who are part of my network that are in the healthcare industry, you're going to see a lot more health guests come on the show. We're going to have more healthcare HR folks. We're going to have more nurses, more physicians, nurse practitioners, physician assistants, healthcare executives. It's going to be healthcare. But I am going to still have content for people of any industry, and I will say this. A lot of the healthcare people that we have on, you will be able to learn something from it, even if you're not in the industry. We had a great piece on Monday from Dr. Timothy Brown, and he's, of course, in the healthcare industry, but a lot of the stuff that he talked about is applicable to any industry. So I will say that even though you're going to see more content that's going to have a health tilt to it, I think it's going to be incredibly beneficial for even those who are not in the healthcare field, okay? So that's definitely something that we're going to be doing. Another thing we're going to be doing, and tell me if this is crazy. We've been talking about this as an organization internally, but we're thinking about, okay, think about this for a second. How many of you have gone to conferences? I put in the comments here, tell me the last conference you went to. Was it this year? Was it last year? When did you go to this conference? And let me know what your experience was. Was it in person? Was it virtual? What kind of conference was it? I'd love to hear about this. Here's what we're thinking about with conferences. Okay, historically, what we've done with conferences is we've said, okay, we can't expect people to come to our conference for like a week or two because it's too long to be away from work. So we've got to compress as much content as we can in a short period of time. So we've had our conference over a 2-day period. We recently had a virtual conference over a 3-day period, and it was just in the morning over 3 days. And so we decided to spread it out because people just kind of get zoomed out right now, right? Just too much Zoom, and they're like, give me a break. So we said we're going to do the 3 days. But then after the conference, we're like, wait a second. Why are we rushing ourselves, if it's virtual, to have the conference in 2 or 3 days? Why don't we have it like over 2 months? So that's what we're going to start working on. We're going to have basically an ongoing conference, but it's not going to be over like a 2 or 3 day period. It's going to be like over a 2-month period. So it'll be like once a week for like an hour, and we're going to have this high level, amazing guests, amazing content, but it's going to be spread out once a week over a longer period of time. Tell me about what you think in the comments about that. I want to hear what you think of that idea of not just having this conference that's over like a 2-day and you're like getting like 8 to 10 hours of content in 2 or 3 days. What do you think about the idea of taking a conference theme and carrying it out once a week over like a 2 to 3 month period? Okay, so I'm about to welcome in Noelle, our guest for today. Let me do that. 1 second here. Okay, I think I've got it. Let's see. Let me bring it up here. Voila.
Voila.
All right, welcome.
Thank you.
And wow, I had my green screen on. So guys, you saw some of the behind the scenes there. That was my green screen I just had up on the screen there. That's funny. Um, so Levi says, if you wait till it's perfect, you waited too long. Nailed it. Oh yeah, literally doing a presentation on completion, not perfection, in an upcoming conference. Cool. If I message you for a quote for the presentation, sure, absolutely. And I'm not gonna claim that as mine. I got that's from Reid Hoffman, co-founder of LinkedIn. And if I find that, I'll send that to you, Levi. But thank you, appreciate you for acknowledging that. Levi says, love that. So it's like watching your favorite show weekly, like we did in the '80s. Yes, there you go. I love it. Yes.
So true.
So Noelle, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I'm gonna show somebody. Really, I'm gonna show you guys really quick. This is the behind the scenes version. Let's see if I can do this. Is it
I'm
working?
echoing if that's okay.
You're not echoing on my end though. Hopefully, I don't drive you crazy.
No, I'm the only one echoing.
Okay. Uh, there we go. So guys, this is what it
Oh,
looks
that's
like from the
cool.
back end. If you were wondering. Okay, let me go back to where I was before. There we go. All right, so I'm excited about what we're doing. So I want first of all, I want to do is just congratulate you for making this step forward. That you're going to have your own show. That's amazing.
Thank you. Well, thanks to you.
Let's give some applause for Noelle. Let me bring up my applause. Just celebrating. Noelle is going to be doing her own show, and this is the virtual crowd right here.
Love it.
Yeah, so it's going to be great. So what was the inspiration that you said, you know what, I want to do this thing? What was the inspiration for you?
The show or retention coach?
Say it again.
The show or being a retention coach?
Let's go with the show first.
Well, it's going to be really hard to do this through me echoing right now,
Okay.
but I will try my best here. The show really inspired me after being on a few shows with you and really talking about there's just been actually so many topics that we've talked about over the last couple of months. And I thought, why not take a stab at it? I developed so many relationships with so many individuals through LinkedIn that I can see us being lifelong colleagues and even friends after this. It's amazing what I didn't know months ago that I know now. And I'm glad it's, better late than never,
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I think doing this show is going to highlight a lot of other factors from a nursing perspective within healthcare that I can bring out. And there's a lot of amazing guests that I've already spoken to that want to come on the show and say, oh my gosh, thank you for this opportunity, because now their voice is going to be heard. And I
Yes.
think that's the most important part of having this opportunity to create a show, is to allow others to be able to speak of what other people are going through and what the potential future, which is going to be a lot of successes that people can have.
Absolutely. So okay, so I think the folks who are watching, this could be inspirational for you because I mean, just a few months ago, you weren't thinking about doing a show, were you?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I was in a
So
shell.
yeah, so I mean, our life can change quickly. So those of you who are watching, it's not about the fact that she's going to have a health-related show. It's about the fact that she's going to step out of her comfort zone and do this show that she wasn't even thinking about a few months ago. There may be something you're not even thinking about right now that may be uncovered over the next couple of months just because you started engaging and connecting with other people's content. Because the way that Noelle and I got connected was through LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm trying to think how we did it. How did we even first connect? I'm trying to think. It was something. I know we did the fun and game show to get together first.
Well, you petrified me with that. I was literally terrified when you brought that up, because I was, again, in my shell. When I stepped back from my position, I was living in a world of PTSD, fear, couldn't get beyond myself. And I'm somebody who has always spoken out in large groups of crowds and have coached and have mentored and have just stopped. And I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. So I crawled in a shell and I was trying to figure out how I was going to rebirth myself, for lack of
Yeah.
better words, again. And I started networking, and then somehow, some way I came across you, and I don't know who reached out first, but we started talking, and you said, hey, you want to be on my show? And I was like, oh my God, what does that mean? Not even
Yeah.
knowing what Fun and Games Friday was, I looked into your profile, looked into your page. What do I have to do? I'm like, oh my God, what am I going to wear? How am I going to do this? And then by the time I got on the show, I was like, oh, these are like-minded professionals like me, and we're all just having
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's really what took me to get out of my shell, and then being engaged. How you network with people. There's so many people going through the same
Yeah.
thing that no one's talking about. And once you hear it, you're like, wait a minute, you can do this.
Yeah, and see that's to me that's what I was trying to say earlier before you came on the show is just that we're limiting ourselves by just inviting people to connect and that's it. That's not what LinkedIn is all about. It's really right now it's about connecting with people's content and engaging each other, and
Correct.
that's what happened. I saw it was something about your comment. I need to go back and find that because there was something about your
Yeah, we
comments
should.
that was like, you know what? I think this is somebody who would be good on the show. That's why I invite. I don't just invite everybody, right? So there's certain things about your comments, something that made me do that and then the rest is history. I mean, the second I got you on that show, even before it went live, we were in the green room, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
um, and your energy was just there. It was just ready, man. You were just like ready to pop, man. You were awesome. And then when you came on the show, you brought that extra energy to the show. We had a great time. I was like, okay, I got to have her back on one of my health shows. And then it's just, and then you had great energy there, and it's okay. I got to have her as a co-host. And then she started being a co-host, and then I was like, man, she should have her own show. And then that's when I
If
asked you, was like, hey, what do you think? And you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You were excited. So anyway, that's kind of
in the healthcare world that we live in, if I can pay a compliment to you, you resuscitated me, Rollis.
what?
You resuscitated me.
Wow. Wow, I'm
I
humbled by
was
that.
not in a right place about 4 or 5 months ago. And I mean, we can talk about this on my show and go through my story with my accident and PTSD and all of that. But this is the important time where we have to realize being surrounded by people is so important. I
That's
thought
true.
isolating myself
That's
was the
true.
best thing I could have done. And I actually started to realize that was the worst thing I could have done. I
Yeah.
haven't even picked up a drink of alcohol in the last 5 months. And it's not that I was a heavy drinker. I just realized alcohol and isolation put me in a darker place.
Mm,
And I'm a wine connoisseur and I still haven't even picked up a glass of wine because I need clarity to see myself go forward before I can
right.
even get back into what I love.
So hopefully I'm not a bad influence on you, but I am a
You
co-drinker.
are. I am not okay with that.
Mm.
I'm going to send you the video of what Coca-Cola does to the GI tract.
Okay, yeah, maybe you
You
should
can
do that.
YouTube it.
Okay, so let me look here. So Patty says, I love that conference idea. Thank you, Patty. And Patty was one of the ones, she saw that conference.
We got to
And
get Patty in the conference.
yeah, Patty would be great. Patty's going to be on the show next week, actually. She's going to be on the Fun
Woo!
and Games show. Is it this week or next week, Patty? When are you coming on? She's coming
Well,
on
if she
like,
comes on, I need to be on that show.
yeah, it's either like this Friday or next Friday. I don't remember which one. Jennifer says, I like the idea of a conference over a longer period of time and have it planned on our calendars. Awesome. Awesome. I love that.
Great.
And Joe apparently likes it because she's clapped many, many times in the comments. That's awesome. Okay. So let's talk about a little bit about the what the show's going to do. Like, what's the main thought process behind the show? Then we're going to move to the whole program that you're coming up with, the course program.
Sure. Um, the the thought and the process behind having my show, I'm kind of like all over the place with my thoughts right now. But the first show that I'm gonna have is going to be a huge kickoff and a celebration to nursing students and new grad nurses. All of
Yes.
that is going to be tied in with like a world of like retention, the walking of life of what they've been through and yada yada. And just remember I hear myself talking right now too. So just bear with me.
Hey, when you look
Um
when you get on a roll, just turn the volume down so that it doesn't
that's
distract
so
you.
I
Yeah.
okay, that's what I did, but I'll keep going now. And I think it's just an important time to really kick it off with the group of individuals that we talk about so much, but we actually don't bring them forward and talk to them to get through their eyes and their perspective of what life has been like as a nursing student and as a novice nurse. And I think it's going to set the perfect platform to what many of the other shows that I plan on having are going to, that I'm going to have, because it leads into healthcare coaching. What does that look like for leaders? What is that going to look like for a new nurse coming in? And what does the word mentor actually really mean?
Yes.
So this show, I think the first show is going to blossom into so many other perspectives and ideas that we can discuss and talk about. And, you know, I often believe, being in the background of pediatrics, there's so much to learn from children as I think there are nursing students. They come in with a fresh set of eyes and a different perspective. We have so much to learn from them, and they're living in a world of what technology is like now and what they expect. We are
Yeah.
coming into this trying to grow with it. This is what
Yes.
they were born into.
Yeah.
So they have
Exactly.
a totally different perspective than what we do, and probably have a better idea of what the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years are going to look like.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I love it. So one of the things that I think that you should probably touch on at some point in your show is to go into this metamorphosis that you've had this year. That's going to be an amazing show too.
Agreed.
Yeah. Um,
I'll need a
okay.
little coaching from you with that.
Well, I tell you, yeah, I'm just so proud and so happy. So, guys, this is a new experience for me too, because I'm going to be in the back end. I'm not going to be on camera. It's going to be Noelle's show, and this will be my first time kind of like producing a show, I guess, from the back end. So that's kind of an exciting new chapter for me as well. So we're both excited. She's excited because it's her new show. I'm excited because it's the first time producing a show. I'm going to help her with marketing it and everything like that. So it's growth, right? It's all about doing something different and growth right now, and pivoting and resetting and all the stuff we've been hearing about in 2020. This just gives us the opportunity to do some things that maybe we would not have done otherwise if it wasn't. Now, I'm not saying I want a pandemic, but I'm just saying we're making the best of it, right? No one is saying they want a pandemic, guys.
No.
We do not want that, but we're just saying we're going to make the best of it. And those of you who are looking to do your own show, this is a great. I think this is a great path to look at and follow. Let's look at Noelle's example. Oh, uh, so Joe reminded me I need to show. Oh wow, I don't have that glass on me. I wish I did. I'm going to see if Jody can help me with that.
I hope this isn't baptism by
Okay.
fire where you disappear and I have to take over right now.
No, 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 no. I asked. Actually, she's gonna bring me that glass. So Joe said I need to show folks the glass that you gifted to me. Um, oh, Patty says this Friday, and I'm happy but terrified. Laugh out loud. Patty's gonna be great.
I can't wait, Patty, to be on Friday.
Yes. Joe says, Patty, you are a rock star. I'm so excited to finally have you on the show this Friday. You'll
Totally.
see it's no big deal. Yeah, you're just gonna have fun, Patty. You're gonna forget the cameras are there. You're just gonna have fun. You'll be laughing the whole time. Okay, so this is what if you guys didn't see my post on this is what Noelle got me, and this is a special glass. In fact, let me go ahead and use that today. Actually, I'm sorry, Noelle. I'll have to drink something better next time.
Seriously, I'm going to have to get you out of that habit.
Good stuff. Okay, all right. So moving from moving from the show, then there's something else we started talking about, which I think is also amazing. Is what? Tell me about this new program.
So, again, I think the amazing conversations that we have had over developing.
Wait. I'm sorry, Noelle. I'm sorry. I got to stop for a second. I haven't given out any books yet. I got to get out a book. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Then we're gonna go back to that.
Look, I
All
mean,
right.
you only have 7 minutes left.
Okay.
It's a good thing I could talk fast.
Okay, guys, look at the list here. This is a list. I'm gonna give out one of these books. Okay, I got to give out a book. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a special word, and with the word, we want you to just type it in the comments as quickly as you can. You cannot do more than one letter per comment, and you're gonna have to spell out this word. Okay, so in honor of having Noelle today, I'm gonna pick a word that's themed with her in mind. Okay, now
Oh
the
boy.
word is actually on the screen, so we should be able to get this done pretty easily. So if you're not familiar with how to spell it, it's right there for you. And the first one that does this word will get a copy of the book. In fact, I'll do the first two. The first two that are successful. The first two will get a book. And the word for today, again, just it's one letter per comment, uninterrupted. If someone interrupts you, you just start over again, okay? The word of the day is Noelle. Noelle.
That's the
It's
key.
right
Spell
there.
it right.
It's right there on the screen. You got to do it right,
No
okay?
pressure.
The first one who wins, who does that, and the second one who does that will win a book, okay? Now, sorry, go ahead, Noelle. Tell us.
It's okay. So in my journey over the last few months, and really, I thank you for bringing out the light bulbs out of my head. I've always had a passion all these years through nursing and through leadership of looking at nurses, recruitment and retention, but I've always had this itch with retaining staff. And it's always been a highlight in my head and working within my own departments and talking to other people within the hospital of how to do that. And never really paid much to it beyond that, and just knew that this was something I loved and something I was really good at doing. And I did it within the hospital setting. And then the last few months, when I had the time to really take a step back, and I think back to our show yesterday with Alicia, I sat there in silence and I gave time to myself. And I did a lot of thinking and I did a lot of writing. And then the gratitude book also helped too, as I started journaling and keeping notes of everything, coming back to what can we do to retain the staff that we have amid these times is a crucial time period of how to get started with this. And really the light bulb that went off and caused for a positive side of a wildfire in my head was the conversation between you and I, Ramos, as just you're such an amazing leader, and you could tell you're a selfless leader too. You are about helping others, talking to others, and in that I gained so much. I feel like we both have gained along the way. And I said, why not create a retention program? Now, there's so many other organizations that do retention workshops and there's classes that are really valuable that people take, but my mind went to creating an actual program where you can start to look at your own metrics, close gap on the issues that are going on within the organization, and continuing to work and engage and mentor those that you went through the course with. So I put together a 13-week retention program to work with nursing leaders and educators at first to do a really big deep dive in a very interactive, fun way of how to retain the nurses that you have and how to retain the new nurses that are coming in. And I'm super excited about, really starting this this process out. I think it's going to really be something that a lot of people are going to need, because you're encompassing so many aspects to it. It's not just, hey, here's the material, here's how you retain, go at it and have a good time, but it's actually a course, it's a program, and it's consistent follow-up and feedback that you're going to need to sustain.
Yes.
Because consistency hardwires the outcomes that you're looking to achieve. And if you're not consistent with helping, you're not going to be consistent with retaining.
Okay, so we've got to give a round of applause for not only your new show coming up, but also this new program. And I'm going to talk about how important this program is. But let's give you a big round of applause for Mr. All right. Congratulations. So those of you who aren't aware, maybe you are, maybe you're watching this, you're not in healthcare. But in this, there's a lesson in this, even if you're not in healthcare, okay? You notice that there's an issue or a problem out there. Maybe it's a long-standing recurring problem, maybe it's a new problem, but it's a problem that needs to be fixed, that organizations need to fix. And if you're in healthcare, you're familiar with there's a shortage of nurses. In fact, I know Jennifer, she's part of the reason why her company, I'm sure, is doing well, is they help to bring in nurses from other countries and get them acclimated where they can work here. So there's just so many solutions on how to bring in these nurses. Why? Because there's a shortage, and it's been a shortage, and there will be a shortage for a long period of time. But as hard as it is to get these folks in, it's just as important or more important to keep them there, right? And so, Noel, your program is going to help these organizations to get an outside view of how they can retain more nurses at their organization. And I'm going to quote a person I've said this quote many times. It's hard to see the picture when you're in the frame. It's one thing
So
to
true.
to evaluate something, but it's another thing to be able to evaluate it from a different perspective, which is why we call this thing Perspectives Live when I have these shows. Perspective, like different people's perspectives. It's so important. So I think that's one thing that your course is going to do. It's going to give them an outsider's point of view. Another thing I think is going to be really cool about it is you're limiting this course to like 8 people.
Correct.
And so you got this tight knit group of people that are going to go through this 13-week program together. It's almost like they're helping to create their own content. Yes, you're creating content too, but they're also
Correct.
part of the content, right? And so
Right.
over that 13-week period, they're going to create these bonds and friendships and it could be like you mentioned, lifelong. You just never know where it's going
Right.
to lead. I think that's another special thing about this program you're doing, not only the show but also the program.
And what I love about it too is by the time you get to the 11th, 12th, and 13th week, all of the material that we've gotten over and have collected towards the end is going to be collectively put together, and they're going to see how much work just casually getting into a conversation and interactive groups that they can actually do this. It's so achievable, but it's so hard to see the end when you haven't figured out how to start the beginning. And that's where I come in, that I've started it and it's really building that structure and foundation and them taking it off, launching from there.
I love it. Okay, so I haven't asked any crazy questions, and I want to see who won the contest. So let me see who won first of all. First winner. All right, so first winner is Miss Jennifer David. Congratulations. Excellent. And let's see here. Patty says, I'm still here, but don't need to win a book. We appreciate you, Patty. Jennifer says, wow, thank you. And then she says, nurse retention is so important. He who has the nurses wins the game. So true.
So true.
And, it just makes sense right now more than ever for organizations to figure out ways to retain more
and
nurses.
There's such a direct correlation with retention and patient outcomes.
Absolutely. And it hits the bottom line too, right?
Right.
All right, so here's a question for you guys. Would you rather, if you had to choose, would you rather have it rain rocks the size of baseballs or rain darts?
Rain darts.
Why is that?
Well, even if you dodge them and they hit you, it's like needle points getting you versus a big rock that has the percentage of damaging you more. A rock in a head versus like a rocket needle is a little bit different.
Yeah, that's true. And I was trying to visualize it in the form of water. Obviously, a baseball size drop of water would be huge, and if you had a bunch of them, that would be pretty heavy. Whereas the darts would maybe stings a little bit. Because you ever had a situation where like if you're in a boat and you're going really fast in that boat and the water is hitting you and it kind of stings a little bit? You ever had that happen?
No.
Okay, I've had that happen.
I mean, how fast are your boats going?
It's probably about 50, maybe 50 or 60 miles an hour, and you just feel that water just kind of. In the comments, let me know if you ever felt that before. It kind of.
Now imagine that being like the size of a softball.
Well, that's true. Oh man, that would be rough. That would really be rough. Okay, yes. What do you guys think in the comments? Which one would you take? Would you take rain rocks the size of baseballs or rain darts? Which one would you take of those two? Okay, and also I want to get some good book recommendations today. If there's any book that you've read that you loved it so much you want to read it again, let us know in the comments what that book is. Also, Jennifer, which book did you choose? I'm curious. What book did Jennifer choose? I'm curious. Man, Jennifer's on it today. Appreciate you. Okay, So we're gonna go ahead and finish this thing up. When is your show? When are we having that show?
That's a great question. I think we were looking at the last Wednesday of October, and
Okay.
I'm aiming for November 11th for the new grads. And yeah,
Yes. That's gonna be
I think
incredible.
November 11th.
That's gonna be incredible.
But I think you're right. It's a great idea to start off the first show introducing myself and how I got to where I am with the show, so people can get a sense of who I am and just
Yeah.
have that connection piece moving
Yeah.
forward.
Even if it's the first 10, 15 minutes, right? Just
Yeah, no,
some
I think that's a
percentage of
great
that.
idea.
You can still have guests and stuff, but okay. I have one other question too. If you could spend an hour in the company of any celebrity, who would you choose? What do you think, Noel? And in the comments, I want to see what you say. And that'll be our last question for the day.
Mm. Who would I choose?
By the way, Patty says darts because they might damage my car and house less. It's not going to be. She says
I'm
I'm
with
not
her
going to
on
be
that.
outside either way. And Sean says I'd rather deal with the darts personally, and so does Jennifer. She's going to go with the darts as well. Okay, out of what you heard today, too, guys, put in the comments if you don't mind. Put in the comments what resonated with you from today. I'd love to hear that. I love seeing that. I love those comments. So what resonated with you from today? So if you could spend the hour, let's not even say celebrity. Let's just say any public or notable figure, past or present. If you could spend an hour, who would it be?
I have to really think about that. I don't think I can.
Who's the first person you think of?
I'm not thinking of anybody right now.
Really?
What about you?
I don't know why, but just the first person that came to my mind. I'd like this. I'd like to go ahead and have lunch with Warren Buffett.
Nice. Good one.
I mean, there's lots of people I can think of, but
Yeah, totally.
I mean, it's just one that just hit me just like that.
I love it.
So Jennifer says haven't chosen yet. Oh, she's looking at the. Oh, let me show you the choices, Jennifer, really fast. I know we're going a little bit overtime, but we actually started late today. We started at 10 after, so that's why I'm going over a few minutes. On the screen, we've got Busy Leaders Handbook, Shift to Professional Paradise, Nurse's Guide to Innovation, Improv to Improve Healthcare, Create Value as a Senior Leader, It's Okay to Not Be Okay, and Learn, Laugh, Lead. Most of these authors have agreed to send an autographed copy if you get the printed copy, or we can give you the electronic version. Either way. Okay, so Noel, have you come up
Yes.
with anybody yet?
No.
Patty says Betty White.
Betty White.
That's a great one.
I could totally spend more than like a day with her.
Yeah, she would be pretty cool. Okay, so
That
here
is a good one.
before this reminds me of something, guys. If you haven't done this, the next time that you're with your grandparent or your great grandparent or one of those folks who are older in your, maybe it's a great aunt, it's older in your family, whip out your iPhone and interview them. That way, some of that knowledge can get downloaded to the
Just don't give them the phone.
resulting generations. I think
It's very true.
I did it with my wife's grandmother, and it was an amazing experience going through some of those stories, and how she grew up and her sisters and all that. It's cool. I would suggest
That is cool.
I got the idea from somewhere where they're talking about how so much data gets lost when our relatives, our older relatives, die off. That knowledge just goes with them.
Yeah.
And so it's good.
I have so much from my grandfather who just passed at 98. And I'll actually do a video interview with my grandmother.
There you
Make
go.
that a show.
Yeah, there you go. That'd be awesome. All right, guys, listen, thanks for being on today. Thanks for bearing with us here. We had fun. They had just me alone for a little while, then they had you just now. So hopefully you enjoyed some part of that today, and love being with you guys. Let me just double check the comments one more time before I sign out. Let's see here. Okay, so yeah, let us know what resonated with you, even if you're watching a replay, and we'd love to hear it. And let's give a big shout out to Noelle and her show. We're so happy about that.
Thank you.
In fact, let me do a thing for that.
Shout out comes right back at you, Rollis.
Right there, there we go. We couldn't
That
wait.
woman in the middle is the best. It's like,
Yeah. Well, listen, it's reciprocal. You know, I really you're a great leader as well, and so we've learned we're learning from each other in this whole process, which I think that's what this platform is all about, is learning from each other. So let's continue to do
great.
that. And you guys in the comments, thanks for being here. Continue to do what you're doing. Have a great rest of the day. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Have a great day.